Those were the headlines, and now for the news in detail. A report issued by National Centre for Statistics and Information showed that domestic natural gas production and importing during the first 4 months of current year increased by 10%, as to reach more than 13.6 billion cubic meters, including more than 2.3 billion cubic meters of associated gas and more than 11.2 billion cubic meters of non-associated gas, and imported gas from outside the Sultanate. The report also pointed out to the rise in the use of gas up to last April by 10%. It concentrated mostly in industrial projects, recording 8 billion cubic meters. Meanwhile, electricity generation stations came second by using around 2 billion cubic meters. 3 billion cubic meters of natural gas were used as fuel and in injecting oil wells. The Ministry of Transport and Communication announced that it has finished preparations of a strategic plan of Mwasalat Company for the upcoming 20 years, and it will be revealed in the month of October. The ministry indicated that the strategy will work to find a public transportation system to serve all society segments and achieve the highest growth rate and quality standards through reducing traffic congestion and enhancing the economic benefits, as well as activating the touristic movement. It is worth mentioning that Mwasalat Company transported 1.1 billion passengers until last March. The company will launch in July an Al Qud Al Sahwa Tower route and Muscat Dakam route during the fourth quarter of the year. It also will increase its trips to Sohar and Nizwar during the holy months of Ramadan, as well as to Salalah in the Kharif season. Oman Development Bank, ODB, won ADFIAP award for the current year in the field of technology development, winning over a number of financial institutions and banks in Asia and Pacific countries. The bank was crowned during a ceremony held in Samoa Island in South Pacific. The crowning ceremony came to appreciate the efforts exerted by ODB in completing projects of performance management, stage for businesses and goal indicators in the bank, in addition to provide advanced methods for the system of human resource management and daily work management. The season of auctioning palm dates highlights a number of Omani social values and traditions. At the beginning of the summer, citizens wait for the auctioning season to purchase their needs of famous and high-quality date palms and the tree products. The Walaya of Rostaq already started the auctioning season of the year. Sellers, buyers, and all who want to benefit from the palm dates assemble near the palm trees to enter into bidding their prices. While the bidding process is a final price is fixed and it goes for the citizen whose price was the highest, will pay the amount in cash, and the auctioneers recorded that in a special list. Auction prices are controlled by a special criteria according to the quality of the fruit, the age of the palm tree, and its height, which are all taken into consideration before the auctioning. In order to preserve Omani non-material heritage, the Ministry of Heritage and Culture evaluated performances of traditional art bands registered in the Governorate of Dhofar. The ministry updated its data about more than 20 bands in the Governorate. It also assessed them as per determined criteria and standards, such as abiding by public norms during performance of traditional dances and wearing Omani costumes. The results of this assessment will be announced later. Human aspects characterize this practice of health workers in hospitals, taking care of patients and relieving their pain, especially during night shifts. Health workers such as physicians, nurses, and other paramedic workers are sacrificing their social life for the sake of serving patients during the night shifts. However, they express their pride for carrying out this noble work. Still to come in our news bulletin. To research and promote endemic plant life, a Chilean chef explores nature to find ingredients for a menu to create a new cuisine.
في رمضان.
حلمية ترجع زي ما كانت.
هو بقى في معلمين خلاص.
أنا اللي بفضح الحرامية والنصابين.
أنا كنت كده. العيال تركبها الشيطان سكن جواه وعشش له.
في رمضان.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Heavy fighting between the Daesh group and rebels gripped a town in northeast Syria today after a lighting assault by the militants cut a main supply route. The Daesh group swept through rebel-held territory yesterday in a shock offensive in Aleppo province, cutting off main route between Maraya and Azaz, 20 kilometers to the northeast near the Turkish border. The militants attacked Maraya mainly from the east and north using tanks and 2 car bombs. Human rights groups have warned that the militants' advance in Aleppo has left tens of thousands of displaced Syrians trapped along the closed Turkish border. To the east, in Raqqa province, warplanes from the US-led coalition conducted airstrikes on Daesh positions north of Raqqa city. Syrian war has killed more than 280,000 people and displaced millions since it started with the anti-government protests in 2011. The United Nations Under-Secretary-General for Humanitarian Affairs, Stephen O'Brien, voiced grave concerns at the current upsurge in violence across Syria and its devastating impact on civilians. O'Brien called for an immediate end to the sieges by warring Syrian parties, which have blocked humanitarian aid and caused starvation, describing the tactics as a weapon of war and reprehensible. The diplomatic made the statement as he was speaking to the UN Security Council via a video link from Geneva after returning from a visit to the Turkish border town of Reyhanli, which houses Syrian refugees. Although the international community urges all Syrian parties to respect the ceasefire agreement, conflicts are still ongoing with nearly 600,000 civilians being besieged. Attacks against civilians and civilian infrastructures, including hospitals, schools, mosques and markets, still continue as the perpetrators go largely unpunished. Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke at a news conference in Athens as he continued his official visit to Greece. Putin's comments had been substantial and extensive, which came after he oversaw the signing of an agreement between Russia and Greece with his Greek counterpart, Alexis Tsipras. His visit to the EU country was found itself at the centre of a sovereign debt crisis that has tested the unity of the Union. It comes ahead of the EU discussion next month on whether to renew Russia's sanctions. Athens is keen to maintain its traditionally close ties with Russia, despite its participation in the sanctions against Moscow and a gas pipeline project designed to limit Russia's regional energy dominance. North Korea threatened fire at South Korean warships if they crossed into the waters, a day after the South Navy fired warning shots to chase away 2 North Korean ships that briefly crossed a disputed Western Sea boundary. In a statement released through state media, the General Staff of North Korea's Korean People's Army called South action a reckless military provocation meant to kill the chances for dialogue between the countries. The South has said one Navy ship issued an audible warning before firing 5 rounds of warning shots to repel a North Korean military vessel and a fishing boat that briefly crossed into South Korea-controlled waters on Friday morning. Inspired by indigenous Mapuche cooking, a Chile chef explores nature to find ingredients for the menu at his popular restaurant Borago. Here is a report.
On this beach in Chile, where most people only see sand and waves, Rodolfo Guzman finds the raw materials for his craft. Fish, algae, seaside fruits, and plants are some of the flavors that interest this young Chilean chef, who doesn't exclude any ingredient as long as it comes from his country. Some Chilean products have been ignored by gastronomy, he says, but are just waiting to be cooked.
This is a sea strawberry. It's a halophyte that grows directly on the rocks. It doesn't need earth. It has the same smell, it tastes like a strawberry, but it's salty.
In his laboratory, upstairs from his restaurant Burago, Guzman experiments and fine-tunes the dishes that appear on his menu. Some recipes, inspired by the ancestral cuisine of the indigenous Mapuches, change according to the season and ingredients available.
El pueblo mapuche dice una cosa.
The Mapuche people say this: when you cook, someone harvests, and that's what we're trying to do.
No pretendemos cocinar como ellos cocinaban.
We don't claim to make something as they did 4,000 years ago, but we are trying to transmit the same thing.
Intentamos transmitir lo mismo.
After several decades of cooking with an eye towards international cuisine, Chile seems to be rediscovering its own gastronomy, with more and more restaurants restoring honor to traditional and popular dishes.
En Chile tenemos tan buenos productos en la costa de Chile.
In Chile, we have excellent products from the coast, the Cordillera Valley, which we have in excess, but because we have too many, we see them in a negative light. Today, I think that the chefs are again interested by home cooking, family cooking, and giving value to these products which we have from the coast and the valley, which have been there forever.
After a few tough years, Burago now has a packed house. In 2015, British magazine Restaurant ranked it a prestigious second best in Latin America, showing that often the best flavors are right in our own backyard.
And now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the coastal areas of the Governorate of Dhofar, and generally clear over the rest of the Sultanate with chances of cloud accumulation and scattered rainfall over the Hajar Mountains. Low clouds and fog late at night and early morning are expected along the coast of the Arabian Sea and parts of the Governorate of Bahraini. Winds will be northeasterly light to moderate along the coastal areas of the Sea of Oman, while it will be southwesterly moderate to active along the coastal areas of the Arabian Sea. The rest of the Sultanate, it will be northwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate to rough along the coasts overlooking the Arabian Sea with a maximum wave height of 2.5 meters, while along the Governorate of Musandam and the coast of the Sea of Oman, it will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The domestic natural gas production and import during the first 4 months of current year are increased by 10%. The Oman Development Bank achieves ADFIAP award for the field of technology development. And the UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs calls for an immediate end to the sieges by warring Syrian parties. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsrooms and the studio, it's good night.